Welcome to Madison City Channel's Know Your Candidates interviews, co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Dane County. I'm your interviewer, Marilyn Townsend, and I would like to introduce Maya Pearson, running for the Madison Metropolitan School Board, Seat 6. Welcome.
Thank you.
As we begin, I'd like you to give an opening statement outlining the educational, vocational, and civic experience that qualifies you for this office, and tell us why you are running for the Madison Metropolitan School Board.
Thank you. I would like to first start by thanking you for having me today. I work at Department of Revenue, and I'm a revenue agent there. I am a graduate of UW-Madison. I have my degree in International Relations. Cultures in the Age of Globalization is a long title. I am familiar with 5 languages. I have actually gone through all Madison schools from elementary through high school. So I went to Franklin Randall, then James C. Wright, and then I graduated from West High School. And so those are my education background and things that I feel are important for this office. I definitely have the budgetary skills for that. The reason why I'm running for office is really about the access to educational success through generations. I am a 3rd generation Madisonian. I'm raising my children here in Madison, and they go through all the public schools as well. So it's really trying to make sure that children have success, make sure that teachers have what they need to be successful in the schools, and then also making sure that the community has an input in that.
What are the first 2 issues you will encourage the new superintendent to tackle, and why? And what skills will you bring to the table to assist him?
So I think for me, I definitely want to push the all-day 4K. I think that that's something that would be beneficial to all of our students in Madison. We want to make sure that when a superintendent comes in, that we are restoring some autonomy with the teachers. And so really working on those 2 things I think are really big for me. And also the trust of the community is super important.
Despite a small amount of improvement, Black students and students with disabilities remained overrepresented among those suspended during the first semester of 2019-2020 school year. Why do you think improvement in this area is so slow, and what would you advocate as a board member when it comes to suspending students?
So I think that as our schools are growing and our schools are, the student body is changing, it's definitely important to realize how the schools are structured culturally. And so what I mean by that is finding ways in which our schools can be more culturally relevant for Black students, where Black students feel as though that they can invest in their schools more and actually enjoy being there and feeling more invested. By that, then obviously inherently then the behaviors will come with it, and because if you feel that you are reflected, if you feel that you have a stake in it, then you're less likely to act up or whatnot. So it's really important to make our schools that way. As a Black student myself, I definitely have had my share. I mean, I haven't been suspended, but I have friends who have been suspended and things like that. And from what I know is that they just didn't feel like they belonged, or they didn't want to really be there. I've been in classes where I have been the only Black student, which sometimes is a way I felt was very isolating for me. So it's definitely making sure that we have those components. I think as a board member, I definitely bring my own experience going through Madison schools as a Black student, going through Madison schools where family members have had behavioral issues and such. Right now, my son has an IEP and things like that, and so it's really being able to make sure that he's integrated in the school that he's at in the education and getting what he needs, I think is really important for me. And I think that a lot of parents, most parents, pretty much all parents really, they want the best for their child. So finding ways to do that, I think, is super important. So,
Wisconsin has the widest achievement gap between black and white students of any state in the United States, according to the assessment known as the nation's report card. The state superintendent has said the achievement gap is a crisis and closing it is imperative for our state. What could Madison schools be doing better when it comes to closing racial achievement gaps? And what, if anything, are they doing wrong?
So I think that the schools is one part of the puzzle. I think that a lot of times we expect that only one part of our systems change to make sure that it changes through everything. But I think really understanding that each system it's a multifaceted. So we can make changes in our schools to be more culturally relevant, bringing more teachers of color, having curriculum that reflects the student body that we serve. But then we also have to seek the city's help because students are not just, education is not the only thing for them. So that when they go home, they're community members, they're with their families. And so, we have homelessness, we have all these different things that our children are up against. Wisconsin has been, or Dane County has been named one of the counties with the highest disparities in a medical crisis. So, for Black people, so that's a real thing. Black people are some of the, they are the highest homeless rate in Dane County. So when you think of all these different things that our children are tackling every single day, we are part of the puzzle to solve. I think that, again, I can't say it enough, and I think having schools be culturally relevant is extremely important. I feel like starting there as a school board, I think, like champion Black excellence and pushing forward, getting, them to have what they need to be able to continue their work, I think will help. All day 4K, again, as a parent, my children went through 4K and it was very difficult to navigate as far as making sure they had transportation to and from their daycare. And I was a single parent at the time. And so those kind of things, my experiences, are definitely some things that I bring. And I think that if we are able to ensure that we have the all day 4K, grasp kids when they're young, make sure that we change the trajectory of their education, work with the city, work with other partners, community. I think that we have to take a holistic view of it, and then we can definitely achieve shortening the gap and hopefully eliminating it. That's the hope.
How can the district do a better job of recruiting and retaining teachers of color?
I think the district does well in recruiting teachers of color. I believe the numbers they've jumped, so about like 30 or 40 new Black teachers into the district in the last year or so. So I think that we do a good job in recruiting them. The issue is how do we retain them? Again, it's a multifaceted answer because it's not only something that we can do in our schools, like we can, increase the pay, we can have ways in which, administration, really values the work of Black teachers and makes an environment to make it more inclusive or make them feel welcome, but then they have to still live in the city, right? And then they have to, still send their kids to schools. And I think that if we take the holistic approach and seeing that it's all multifaceted, working with the city again, making sure that we can offer a place where Black teachers feel, or teachers of color feel welcome, then we can do that. And I think that that's the biggest thing, is the retention piece for me.
Given the timing of the referendum, you will have to start the school year with an uncertain budget. In constructing that budget, which may require $5 to $8 million in cuts, what will you cut? What will you protect?
So the referendum is important, and for me, I feel as though that we definitely need to find inefficiencies in our budget currently. As a state of Wisconsin certified Six Sigma certified person that deals with finding, taking processes and making them more efficient for systems. It's definitely finding those where we're spending money on things that doesn't necessarily make our schools more efficient or make our schools, in some ways better. So we need to take those and move it to actual things that will be efficient for our schools. I think for me as a board member, I would definitely try to find ways into cutting administrative costs and then moving and repurposing those funds for programs, for teachers, and that such, because we definitely need to make sure that we are efficient in our budgeting and make sure that we're just not spending and wasting money. So,
if you are elected, what will you do to engage and connect with the variety of community members you represent?
So a bigger part of my candidacy is definitely community. I am part of South Madison, and I had helped fight for the grocery store on South Park Street and making sure that our neighborhoods did not have a food desert. By doing that, it was going door to door. I was a co-founder of a group that championed that, and we went door to door, surveying our neighbors and asking, different questions about safety, about their food access, businesses, what they would want to see in their neighborhoods. So for me, it's really finding ways to connect with the different organizations, finding ways to connect with the different neighborhood association. I'm also part of my own neighborhood association, Burr Oaks Neighborhood, and going door to door and just talking with people. I found different ways to engage teachers and having, conversations with them, because I'm not a teacher, but I wanted to make sure that their voice is heard within my candidacy and in my campaign. So creating those kind of opportunities, people are free to email me and things like that, but it's really going door to door and talking with people. So,
what would you like to say, Maya, to the viewing audience as we complete this interview?
What would I like to see?
Or no, what would you like to say to the viewing audience as your final statement?
Yeah, I really care about all the kids in Madison, and I am a Madisonian. I have been, through elementary, through high school. I feel, my budgetary skills are I feel like they're graded. I don't want to, but I think that we definitely need people on the board who have had the experience of not just higher education and things like that, but definitely the experience of being a student in our schools, because I think that that's a valuable experience that not a lot of people that are running for office can actually say for the school board, is that, hey, I was a student, I dealt with this, in the schools. I'd have that understanding. But I also want to let people know that our campaign is totally grassroots. We're going forward. And so, yeah, come and join us to build stronger schools together.
I want to thank Maya Pearson for speaking with us and the viewing audience for taking time to know your candidates. Please vote in the April 7th election, and in fact every election. On behalf of Madison City Channel and the League of Women Voters of Dane County, thank you for joining us.